Alistair, here we are in the Bills of Ibrox after a 1-1 draw with Braga. Strange night, not a too bad hour, the coach says. What were your general thoughts of it tonight?
I actually thought before we got the penalty kick, just before half time, that it was going to be filed under instantly forgettable first 45 minutes. I don't think Rangers really did much in an attacking sense. Braga had a couple of moments here and there, but it wasn't a particularly inspiring first half performance by either team, and it did have that air, certainly from a Rangers perspective, of being the dead rubber. It was almost as if there was a resignation from the players that with 4 defeats in the first 4 games there wasn't really much at stake in terms of an opportunity to qualify, and that certainly came across in how the first 45 minutes panned out.
Braga have obviously had a decent start to the campaign, and likewise they're kind of heading in the top 4 in the Portuguese league. How do you think they played? I thought when we did the preview, it was kind of youngish team, fairly rapid turnover in the squad over the last 3 or 4 years. How do you think they performed?
I think you can see hallmarks of their manager or head coach having worked under Guardiola. They built for the back, the goalkeeper was very comfortable with the ball at his feet, distribution was very good, they were very compact, and then when they did attack, there was that sort of youthful enthusiasm within the team. I didn't really think they hurt Rangers particularly much, didn't really create much in the way of clear-cut opportunities. Jack Ballard would have saved in the early stages of the match, ball played over the top, he's come out and managed to throw it hotter, but beyond that, really only the kind of closing stages of the match when it kind of opened up a wee bit, did they actually trouble Butland any further. So I don't think they were overly troubled by Rangers, as much as the manager said he felt Rangers acquitted themselves well for the first hour. They may well have done that, but they did so without much in the way of cutting edge. But from a Braga perspective, I think they'll be disappointed that, given how well they've started in the competition, given where they're sitting in the Portuguese league, that they didn't make more of an impression on what is a very weak and wobbly Rangers defence.
In terms of Rangers, obviously there's, I think a lot of people will be saying tonight, certainly I observed, was that when they went a man down, we didn't look as though we had the extra man, did we?
No, there is that. Somebody mentioned in there about the heaviness of the jersey and players that have been recruited in this appalling summer transfer window that don't seem to have that character trait, that ability when it does get to that stage of then almost going for the jugular and stepping up that level. We don't seem to have that higher gear that we can go to, irrespective of whether it's against 10 men or 11 men, and that was shown again tonight. Within 4 minutes Braga going down to 10 men, we make an elementary error. Nasser Jiga's grossly misjudged the header, presenting them with a simple chance to equalise, and you felt once they got level that if there was going to be one team that was going to eke out a winner, it was going to be Braga rather than Rangers.
In terms of the Rangers squad, maybe half a dozen of these guys are loanees. Is it going to be good business to get rid of them all?
I think there may well be hopefully there'll be an opportunity to revisit the loan agreement, whether that is a season-long loan without a break clause or if there's a break clause in there. If it's the latter and there's a break clause in some of the contracts, then I think we have to look at exercising that. Obviously Danny Rowell's mentioned a couple of times now about his traffic light report that he's produced in the current squad. I think there are a number of the loanees that probably fall into the red category, and if they're very, very lucky, amber. There's not many, if any, of the recruits, whether they be permanent or loanees from the summer, that I think would get a green light from any of the supporters. So if there is the opportunity to break some of these loans, particularly when you hear some of the numbers being bandied about in terms of contribution to their wages, I think there's an opportunity there to wipe the slate clean, let these players return to their parent club and potentially go somewhere else where the expectation level isn't quite as high as what it is here.
And in terms of the rest of the European campaign, obviously it's too early, and I don't think either of us had the inclination to look at the league positions after the game tonight. 1 point, the games that we've still got to go, is it now just a case of use them as training games or trying to get some money out of the pot by turning on a few performances?
I think that's where we're at now. You cannot see at this moment in time this Rangers team stringing together the 3 wins that you would think would be required, even to give as an outside chance. I mean, even the playoff places, 10 points should get you there, but with the games that are left, you can't see the muster stepping up the level to get to that stage where they are not just necessarily competing in these games but getting all 3 points. I think if there's scope within them to pick up some points, to get some sort of financial return, but I think Danny Rowell's probably got to view these 3 games that are left now as an opportunity to do a bit of tweaking, a bit of tinkering, introduce some players who perhaps haven't had a lot of minutes this season. Finlay Curtis was mentioned in the press conference, for example, and maybe there'll be a chance for him to come in and give some of the others an opportunity to stake a claim domestically, because with 4 wins out of 4, given where we're coming into the festive period and also at the turn of the year we a visit to Parkhead, for example, I think he needs to use these fixtures now as a platform for players to stake a claim for the domestic football.
To finish off tonight, we're talking about domestic football. Obviously, Danny Rowe, it's not his team, not his players. He has had time playing them. Slight improvement in results, perhaps not in performances. After tonight, we come back here to Ibrox on Sunday for Falkirk. If you had the chance to give Danny Rowe some advice from what you've observed since he came in, and obviously the international break, what does he do for Falkirk that he didn't do for Livingston?
I think he has to put a bit more emphasis on attacking football. He has at times this season looked as if Dundee away, for example, there were some really good spells of football in there, some really good inventive moments in there, mostly prompted by Mikey Moore, who unfortunately is injured just now. So I think he has to look at the personnel that he's got at his disposal and perhaps be a bit more bold in terms of his team selection. I think at the weekend against Livingston he played Danilo as a central striker. It's not a role that suits him. Bojan Miovski has obviously hasn't been particularly played particularly well in that position since he came in, and Youssef Chamite again tonight. I think he did a lot of running, a lot of good, hard, honest endeavour, but his end product, his touch at times was very, very laboured, very, very poor. So he's got to work with what he's got, but I think he needs to emphasise more on a bit more expansive, open, attacking football, because unfortunately at the moment, whether we're playing Braga or whether we're playing Falkirk, there is a mistake in that defence. So he's going to need to make sure that he's got players at his disposal on Sunday who can score goals and get us into a more comfortable position than what certainly what we were last weekend against Livingston.
Alistair, thanks for that. Hopefully Danny will be watching this later on and he'll take a few hints and hopefully get us in our winning way against Falkirk. Thanks.